Taga Davao sila pero si Leni Robredo ang kanilang gustong maging presidente sa 2022. Ating malalaman mula sa mga opisyalis ng Davao for Leni Group ang kanilang rason sa pagsuporta kay VP Leni at bakit siya, sa tingin nila, ang karapat-dapat na maging susunod na Pangulo ng ating bansa sa 2022. Tayo na sa isang malalimang talakayan dito lamang sa loob ng Press Room. Isang magandang araw po sa inyong lahat at welcome inside the press room kung saan ating pinag-uusapan ang mahalagang issue ng ating bayan kasama ang mga reporters at newsmakers ng ating bansa. Ako po, si Romel Lopez, ang Regions Editor ng PressOne.ph at kasama ko po rito sa loob ng press room ang ating editor na si Felipe Salbosa. Hello, Ipe.
Magandang araw sa lahat ng mga nakikinig sa ating mga podcast platforms at saka mga nanonood sa ating YouTube channel. Wala ngayon ang ating kasamang si Boss Manny Mogato, no?
Mukhang nasobrahan sa kakabidyo ko no?
Ng bagong taon.
Yun ata
anyway, sa sobrang dami naman ng guest natin ngayon, bawi naman.
Oo, bawi. At interesting po ang ating topic ngayon kasi we will be talking to a special group. Bakit ko po nasabing special group? Kasi hindi ko rin inaasahan kasi I'm here at Davao Region so hindi ko rin inaasahan na magkakaroon ng a group that openly supports masasabi ba nating the opposition candidate, the candidate na kinamumuhian ng mga administration trolls. So pink na pink po sila kasi they're supporting the candidacy of Vice President Leni Robredo to the highest office of the land. So ang mga kakausapin po natin ay ang mga officers ng Davao for Leni Group. Isa-isahin po natin silang tawagin. Ang una po nating makakausap ay dati po siya nagtatrabaho sa mga multinational companies in a senior management position in Visayas and Mindanao. He is now the political officer of Team Leni Robredo for Davao City 2022. Please welcome inside the press room, Angelo Apo Aportadera. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. Maraming salamat and looking forward to this interview para makapag-engage tayo sa inyong mga fans at mga tagapakinig.
Thank you, sir. Ang next po natin ay nagtatrabaho for 17 years na sa BPO industry specializing in corporate training. Ang father po niya ay ipinanganak sa Davao City but he grew up in Manila but divides his time between both Davao and Manila. Parang ako dati pero ngayon nag-settle na ako dito sa sa Duterte land sa kung tawagin nila. Please let us all welcome inside the press room si Jed Avic Lariego.
Magandang araw sa lahat. Salamat sa pag-imbita. I'm excited to be here and like what Apo said, to engage with your audiences.
And last but not the least, ang social media campaign head for Davao for Leni. Siya rin po ay current bar examinee at isang election law paralegal for a local law office in Davao City. He is also the incumbent chair for education and research of the Foundation for Liberty and Prosperity Scholars Society. Please welcome inside the press room, Josiah David Kising.
Ano po? A correction lang po, no? Yung law office na where I'm working is not in Davao City po. Pero,
okay.
Okay po. Pero, thank you for this opportunity.
O, tinago ko na lang din yung law firm, baka mamaya.
Opo.
Alam mo naman sa panahon ngayon, makasuot ka lang ng pink, mapaghihinala na. Kaya kung naka-green mo ako, hindi ito political color, okay? Uniform po ito ng Philippine Association for Media Information Literacy. So, wala ho itong political affiliation. So, ang una natin pag-uusapan, bakit nga ba kayo yung naging for Leni, kayong mga taga Davao? Di ba ang usual na reaction, kung ikaw ay taga Davao, dapat susundan mo kung saan ang gusto or hilig ng mga Duterte. So, sino ang gustong unang sumagot sa tanong na yan?
Ako siguro, I'll keep the ball rolling,
Okay, Apo.
Bakit ako sumama kay? Alam mo, it's not about the person naman yung ating pinipili. Ang pinipili natin kung ano yung tama ano yung pinaka basic foundations kung ano ba dapat ang isang kandidato. It's just very well also na ang lahat ng mga description na yun nagpo-fall dito sa ating Vice Presidente. I mean, kung titingnan natin, we've had 6 years of oppression, we've had 6 years of abuse and what have you. I mean, and you look at the office of the Vice President, 6 years din siyang dinidiin kung ano-ano mga pinapataw ng mga fake news sa kanya. But wala naman resibo shows it all na ang ganda-ganda ng performance, di ba? And it's about time that we need something like that in our country after 6 years. So more than the person, the qualifications ang titingnan natin, and fortunately nahulog ito sa ating Vice Presidente na si Madam Leni. Kaya tayo nandito sa kanya. Para sa mga anak natin to hindi lang naman para sa atin to
So, I would like to ask this question, and any of you can answer. So, forgive me kung I have a very Manila-centric impression. Pero, how would you characterize the support for the Dutertes in Davao? Para ba siya, monolithic support pa yan? Kasi when this group came out, Davao for Leni, parang, this is something new. So, meron palang grupo sa Davao na hindi not compelled to support their own, so would you tell us kung what is the extent of this support moving away from the Dutertes is in Davao, which is considered their bailiwick?
Siguro I'll answer that first. From my perspective kasi, and laking Manila din ako, the first thing that I notice is the stark difference between leadership talaga. That's why I am proud of being from Davao. I'm proud that my family is from Davao. But it's different kasi when you live in other places and see what good governance is. Ngayon, when we talk about the support to the Dutertes, it's like in every other province siguro na ruled by prominent families na yung loyalty ng populace is to the name and to the family kasi maganda yung history nila with the city, and to be fair naman with Duterte, there were a lot of gains naman when he's a mayor. Now, talking about setting up Davao for Leni, I'm just in the social media sphere talaga. I haven't done this before. I wasn't active politically before, but I know na there are pockets of resistance, kumbaga, in the city that has yet to find a louder voice, although they have been there. Most of the members who are in Davao have already set up their grassroots movement even before 2016. Yung mga kasama sa core ng Davao for Leni have already been active on the ground. They have their own groups on the ground. It's just that siguro ngayon with the advent of social media and our reach, nagkaroon ng mas malaking voice ang mga dissenters in Davao City, and I'm happy, and I guess fortunate na the space that we've created encouraged others to come forward. We had our caravan back in October, and it wasn't humongous, it was huge, but it was significant na napansin ng mga tao, and now we're able to set up our own headquarters in the city. So I guess we're here to break the myth naman talaga na walang solid Duterte sa Davao City, or dilita ng hindi lahat ng Davaoenyo DDS, and we plan to do that in whatever it is that we do within our movement.
Siguro si Josiah, ganyan din ba sa Gen Z? I mean, ikaw kasi yung Gen Z dito. So.
Well, yes naman po. I mean, historically, hindi lang naman sa generation ng sa mga kabataan, no. I mean, historically naman Davao City has always been one of the stalwarts of human rights sa Mindanao, and we would remember that sa Yellow Friday movement ni Nanay Suling Duterte, no. And one of our and several of our founding members ng Davao for Leni is actually has actually been part of that movement. So that
Mm.
so yun yung kaya din kami actually when we were starting up Davao for Leni, yung mga naunang mga members actually namin weren't the youth, unfortunately. Yung mga first members ng Davao for Leni were the activists pa way back during the martial law era. So yun yung and then ang one of the most touching statements nga nung nagkaroon kami ng first meeting, August or September ata noon, first meeting namin as a group, one of our members said no na akala niya tapos na yung time nila na to fight kasi parang sabi nila na parang they felt na nagawa na nila yung part nila sa bansa when they fought against the martial law dictatorship in 1980 in the 1980s, no? Pero then they realized with the onset of this kind of leadership, they felt na mukhang kailangan nila ulit bumangon, and that's why they joined Davao for Leni. So that's something really that's something really heartbreaking, kumbaga, na parang itong mga matatandang to, they already fought for us way back when we were even before we were born. Tas ngayon kinakailangan ulit nilang so yun po. So it's not just the youth, although meron ng Davao for Leni na youth group na din, pero yung mga older generation is also fighting for the kumbaga remnants ng human rights activism in Davao City.
Alam nyo, grabe talaga yung campaigning din na ginawa nila out of Davao. So, 2016, I was kind of shocked na I got pomelos from Davao with the stickers of you know who. So, parang that gave them the impression na talagang Davao parang may pagka-solid pala. No? So, apparently, with the rise of your group and others, hindi pala ganon. Now, what would be your goals, no? What do you plan to achieve for the Leni campaign as a group, no? So are you only involved in the national level o meron din kayong local initiatives, no? Kumbaga, are you also actively campaigning for certain candidates in the city or in the region apart from the national level? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ako, first to answer for the national na objective, anong objective namin. Pwede no, itong election, hindi lang naman sa Davao mananalo or ano to eh. We are just one part of the country. So we really have to deliver our commitment to the national so that, you know, all the numbers will tally up. Alam naman natin na it's very challenging dito, but of course, we're up to the challenge. We have to deliver yung objective namin. For that way, when the pieces of the puzzles fall into place, we will be able to contribute, and hopefully that will be enough to propel si Vice President to the presidency. With regard naman to the local politics, hindi natin maiiwasan yan eh. Talagang election season, campaign season, di ba? Pero I think ang common denominator siguro ng lahat ng areas, you know, I'm seeing this, and I'm confident to say this across the Philippines. Ang mga dumidikit na mga kandidato kay Vice Presidente, yung mga medyo, yung mga okay din naman yung mga background, mga okay naman, wala namang mga kaso-kaso involved. So dito din sa Davao, ganun din. I mean, when we select a candidate to support, ang ginugusto din namin yung may moral ascendancy, yung malinis, yung parehas yung sa paniniwala ng presidente yung pinili namin or sa mayor na pinili namin or sa congressman na pinili namin. Dapat yan magkakaparehas. Otherwise, disjointed. Di ba? I mean, kakampanya ka sa isang mabuting national figure like Leni, sabay pagdating sa local, biglang kakapanyahin mo the same old people, di ba? The same old names and characters. So, it's a big disjoint. So, talagang panindigan natin itong grupo natin and what we stand for, and we select the better options dito sa Davao City.
It's a good thing no, na mention ni Josiah kanina yung tungkol sa Yellow Friday movement. And I just would like to ask your group, kayo lahat mga taga Davao, may connection sa Davao, and do you cherish the significant history that Davao City played sa paglaban sa diktadurya, lalo na sa events leading up to the EDSA People Power Revolution? Kaya nga natin sin-celebrate ng February 25. I remember this, isang speech na ang EDSA Revolution did not just happen in EDSA, di ba? It happened across the country. Kaya it's a national holiday. And significantly, yung mother ng ating presidente ngayon, ni Lola, ni Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, ang isa, in fact, siya talaga yung leading figure, no, sa Yellow Friday movement na lumaban sa diktadoryang Marcos. And now, yung kanyang apo is standing elbow to elbow with the son of the dictator, na alam naman natin na may nakinabang doon sa mga nakaw na yaman ng kanyang mga magulang. So anong masasabi niyo tungkol dito? Anyone can answer this.
Okay, alam mo, go ahead, Jed. Sorry.
Sorry, this is just a personal anecdote din kasi it's a very interesting turn of events. Kasi yung pamilya din ni Papa, nung Yellow Movement, yung bahay namin sa isa sa suburbs ng Davao, lahat dilaw. From the curtains to the seat covers, and yung all-out support for the Yellow Movement. And it's interesting na their politics tend to follow what is based off of the family name. So now they're also supporting the candidacy of Sara, and I think that's common, but that's not universal in Davao. It's common, yes, because I think nakasanayan na kasi, right? And then they attach a certain nostalgia with the name. Also, what I think about that is it's politics in general. It's Philippine politics in general. We are not a two-party system where our views and political stand are clearly defined, but it's more of what they think that will benefit them short term. Kaya pinipili ang ganitong kandidato. And again, it's also a matter of personality politics. Na sikat ngayon ang mga Duterte because they're the incumbents. And obviously, they would be leading the surveys because their name is plastered all over. And with BBM, it's because of the name again. There's a certain nostalgia. So it's just interesting, and then I had a conversation with my mother about that. It's interesting that instead of focusing on the reasons behind the Yellow Friday movement, it was just, I don't know, diluted to mere personalities ngayon. Kaya may mga ganun yung switch ng support. It's not necessarily the principles na of why they supported Cory in the 80s, but it's more of sikat siya, kaya siya na lang.
Aside doon sa sa mere association, Apo, hindi mo ba nakikita nag-play din dito yung matinding historical distortionism na nangyari since 2015 na talagang tinarnish yung legacy ng mga Aquinos? They're not perfect, okay? Let us be clear about that muna, no? They're not perfect. Pero to say na nakikita natin sa social media na mas marami pang nagawang mabuti ang mga Marcos kaysa mga Aquino is complete, BS for in historical analysis.
I'm glad you brought it up, Romel. I was about to say that yung aking anecdote din was, it was real. What was happening back in the 80s was real here. Yellow Friday and even the events leading to the Yellow Friday. I was too young to participate, but I was an observer. My father was a part of the FLAG, the Free Legal Assistance Group, yung mga human rights lawyer. He was directly working with Senator Jokno. Kami as kids growing up in that kind of environment here in Davao, alam mo, simple lang yung instruction ng magulang. We had certain codes kung kailan makaka-uwi yung FPAT ko dahil baka mamaya may nag-aabang ko. Wala pa naman cellphone dati. Walang pager, di ba? So may code yung nanay at tatay ko. Kung may naka-on na certain ilaw sa bahay, ibig sabihin, or naka-off ba, ibig sabihin, in danger. No? Tapos kami mga bata, whenever we're out, kahit mall pa yan, Felcris, Gaisano, kung saan mo kami, sisigaw lang yung nanay ko ng dapa. Talagang lie down on the floor because it was that dangerous back then. You know, but more than these stories, no, let's not change what happened before. Naalala ko ito, idolong-idolo to, dapat nga isama natin sa usapan to, no? Si former Senator Jokno, tatay ni ating iniidolong Chel Jokno. Walang tumatanggap sa kanilang mga hotel dito sa Davao dahil kalaban nga sila ng mga Marcos. Pag nagpupunta dito yan, kasama niya dati si Attorney Joker Arroyo pa noong unang panahon. Ano? Sa bahay matutulog yan. Siguro mga 20 sila. Hanggang sala, don't get me wrong, hindi mo malaki bahay namin, ano? But I'm saying, they would camp out in our house. Nagtataka ako, sino ba itong mga taong to? Diba? I mean, I only found that out later na I was older. Uy, senador, dating senador pala yung natutulog sa bahay namin. It's because that was a safe place. It's because, you know, they were part of that movement, yung free legal assistance group, yung mga abogado. So this Yellow Friday move, eventually, it led to the Yellow Friday movement with the assassination of Nino. You know, we were very active there kasi syempre yun yung pinaglalaban ng mga ang orientation kasi mga abogado, mga human rights, you know. Yun yung mga pinaglalaban nila, yun yung pinaniniwalaan nila. So those events back in 1980s, you know, they were very real. So itong revisionism, nakita naman natin ang laki talaga ng ginastos na pera ng mga Marcos dito since 2016 or even prior to that eh. Diba? So it's very dangerous and it's very disheartening na yung a certain generation naniniwala dito, madaling makuha, and kinalimutan na talaga lahat ng pinaghirapan. So ang kagandahan din ng campaign na to ngayon, nagigising uli yung mga generation who were active back then at binabalik nila, pinapaalala nila sa mga younger them that, hey, nangyari ito, huwag nating kalimutan. And sila mismo naghirap, pinaglaban to. Hindi naman pwedeng itong generation na to ngayon, biglang kakalimutan yun para lang paboran yung mga fake news na madalas nilang nakikita. Diba? So, you know, this whole thing is very real. So, dapat talaga ma-remind natin yung mga tao na anong mangyayari kung paniniwalaan natin yung mali, yung hindi totoo. Diba? So, that's part of our campaign also. Just telling the truth and just, you know, doing all of these things para mapaalala sa kanila.
Okay, curious naman ako sa reaction ng mga fellow Davaoenos ninyo sa inyong unequivocal and unreserved support for Team Leni. No, so although Davao is of course melting pot yan of Filipinos from different parts of the country originally. Pero Davaoenos supporting someone from Camarines Sur, parang ano naging reaction ng mga friends ninyo? Nagkaroon ba ng mga friendship over Josiah? Nagkaroon ba ng mga awayan ng relatives? Sulian ng kandila, tama.
Alam mo, sa campaign at saka sa election, ang pikon talo. Diba? So may mga kaibigan kang mapipikon, mag-aaway kayo. But kung kaibigan mo naman talaga yan, magkakaintindihan kayo eh. Diba? Naintindihan nila ito yung paninindigan namin, ito yung aming sinusuportahan. So they will respect that. But it's challenging, especially for business owners. And ako, I have a business in the city. Meron talaga, you will come across people that will get turned off or will be afraid to come out and join you. Dalawa yan eh. Yung ayaw kang galawin dahil natatakot silang, ayaw nila because they're diehard dito sa Davao. And those people na natatakot to join you pero they will help you somehow. Yun yung kagandahan doon. Diba? Pero hindi nga lang makakapag all out because takot, which is bad. Kung itutusin mo yung word na takot, hindi naman kasi dapat yan eh. Diba? I mean, wala namang masama sa pagpili o sa pagsuporta ng isang kandidato. Hindi naman personalan to eh. Pero yun lang yung nangyayari sa ating whole political and election system dito, na it always becomes, me against you. Pinag-aaway-aaway pati yung mga supporters, which isn't right. Dapat talaga pakita natin anong plataforma, anong credentials ng kandidatong to, para at least papas ang labanan. Pero unfortunately, nangyayari talaga yung sinabi na nag-aaway-aaway o nagre-return ng mga kandila eh. So masabi ko lang dyan, well, kampanya lang for your candidate and ang pikon dito matatalo. Kaya go with the flow dapat.
Josiah, ikaw?
Well, in my experience, man, it's more on it's more of the opposite. No, I gained a lot of friends through this in this campaign. In fact, when Jed and I was first conceptualizing itong Davao for Leni as a mere Facebook page pa lang noon, wala pa siyang. It wasn't. We didn't think na it would grow this big. And back then, we were just Jed kami ni Jed ay magkakilala lang sa Twitter noon. And in fact nga, if I don't know if Jed remembers this, ang first interaction pa namin noon ay dati nag-argue pa kami noon sa Twitter kasi medyo opinionated kaming pareho, no. Pero nung when I learned na he's from Davao and he's supporting Leni Robredo, we thought of something, pwede pala yun, you know, parang na I think we need to amplify this kind of voice na Davaoenos as supporting Leni Robredo. And then from there, we set aside our differences and then created the Facebook page. So yun. So for me, I gained a lot of friends naman. So through this campaign.
How about Jed?
Pamilya ko nasa Davao and I know that they're not supporting my candidate. So what's funny about this is na-amplify ng social media, which is the danger talaga, yung differences. But when you get into the ground, when you talk to people, it's not like politics is the first thing that we talk about. Even in our family circles, it's not like, lalo na ngayon, first time ko umuwi sa Davao in December after almost more than a year because of the pandemic. We don't talk, but we know where we stand individually. So hindi naman kami nag-aaway bilang pamilya, which is funny then kasi my partner is from Davao and his family is diehard Duterte supporters. In fact, his mother is a barangay councilor, and they know my advocacies and they know how vocal I am even before 2016. But it's not as dire as what social media might tell you. Personal relationships naman are affected somehow, but it not to the point siguro na you'd lose people talaga. Ang ano lang, siguro sa Davao hindi, but I have family in Osamis na who have blocked me dahil doon. But and that's how it is in politics.
Gaano na kayo kalaki ngayon sa Davao? Yung nagkita-kita kayo or even virtually yung mga members ninyo?
We have around 250 members as a movement. We started the page in June, but we became a movement around September when we decided na we need to augment what we do online with activities offline.
So may mga eyeball na rin kayo nangyari, no?
Yes.
Kita na rin kayo. Kasi I follow and this guy follows me rin sa Twitter. I think si Josiah follows me sa Twitter. I think it's Nabunturan Guy, yung kanyang handle. And he's a former land bank official. And then I saw his picture, sabi ko, nagulat din ako nung nakita ko yung caravan inorganize ninyo. That gave me an idea na maybe we could interview them for the podcast. Kasi nakita ko na parang malaki, and then nagulat din ako kasi I did not expect it. Like here sa kinilalagyan ko ngayon, somewhere in Davao del Norte, namumula dahil nagpunta rito yung si Junior, dalawang Junior nagpunta rito at may mga local people na talaga sila. So nakikita natin yung laki na nung kanilang movement, and I think ito rin lumalabas sa survey results. Ano yung masasabi niyo dito sa survey results, lalo na yung recent survey result about sa job satisfaction? Mas bumaba pa yata yung kay Vice President Leni. So anong masasabi niyo tungkol dito if this trend continues into election day? Apo?
Yeah. Survey results are there to guide us. So mabuti na yan ma-alert tayo this time, January, to be able to address those concerns. We are affected to a certain extent, pero as a group, not talking for the whole Leni movement sa national also, itong mga survey results, talagang binabantayan yan para rin malaman natin kung ano yung maka-counter natin, ano yung mga actions that we need to immediately take Di ba? Kung specifically kung regional yan, pwede din natin ma-address kaagad dun kung ano yung mga countermeasures and counteractions na pwedeng gawin. So whatever service, kumbaga, nagawa na yan, nandiyan na yan, there's no erasing it anymore. So you might as well answer it and face it kung wherever it came from, as long as it's credible. Right. So that's how we approach all of these surveys. I mean, there's no sense denying and there's no sense hiding behind whatever. Basta kung may survey na credible, talagang, especially kung nare-reacta ng mga tao at iba't ibang grupo, it's a wake-up call to be able to take action for it.
Mm-hmm. And I would like everyone to answer this, no? Kasi we guested here in the podcast political analyst Professor Contreras. I think you're familiar with him. And we asked him to describe each of the candidate kung bakit niya susuportahan o hindi susuportahan yung particular kandidato. And when it came to Leni Robredo, and we saw naman yung mga posts niya in the past, he said again that ang issue niya with the Vice President is her authenticity. So would you care to comment on that? Let's start with Jen.
Okay, so question, and again, that's one of the propaganda that has been spread about Leni ever since she became vice president. Now, she's not authentic enough. And dyan nafo-fall victim ang maraming tao, especially sa social media. Because mas malakas yung messaging na elitista si Leni, hindi sa ano. But if you come to think about it, sinong kandidato ang susuportahan isang grupo ng magsasaka sa Sumilaw, maglakad mula Mindanao hanggang Luzon para suportahan ang kanyang kandidatura? I mean, if that's not authentic enough for you, then I don't know ano yung definition mo ng authentic. Sino ang even before she became part of Congress, she has all these advocacy. Saligan, she's member of Saligan, di ba? And yung authenticity na yon is not necessarily viewed and seen on social media and media now. Kasi ngayon ang laki na kasi ng influence ng social media decision making of people. Dati with family, with friends, ngayon may part ng social media. And I guess that's a challenge that we have. That's one of the reasons why I put up the Facebook page, because pinabayaan namin ng Facebook, and now lumaki na sila in a way that ngayon nag-firefight na kami. But going back to Leni's authenticity, her advocacies, her work speaks for itself. We just need to amplify that and to make people understand that this is what she is, this is who she is, and this is what she's done and what she can do.
Josh?
I think naman, and I think yung mga ganyang mga yung pagko-question ng quote-unquote authenticity ni VP Leni can easily be countered dung kanyang transparency and track record. Yun naman talaga lagi eh. And then, yung consistency ni VP Leni in public service, for me, ang pinaka-importante dun yung fact na naglingkod siya sa bayan way before politics. And kasi, masasabi natin, itong mga tumatakbo for the presidency, meron din silang mga sariling mga humanitarian projects. Pero most of it, if not all, were done because they have a political position and they were doing it as their duty because they were elected to do those things. Pero if you're going to look at yung track record ni VP Leni, she's been doing this way before she even wanted to be a politician. And for me, that speaks a lot. And hindi mo masasabi na hindi siya authentic because of this. Kasi nga, makikita natin na she's consistent. And doon pa lang masasabi natin na hindi totoo yung mga paratang ng mga kritikos sa kanya.
Apo?
Yeah, same as what everyone says. So nakita mo siya natin yung trend na may consistency and authenticity. Pero ako, I supported Vice President Leni latter part of 2016 election. Actually, I jumped ship, no? And then when she was already sitting vice president, nahihiya pa akong lumapit is because obviously I'm identified with a different political group. But all I can say is this. Isang beses lang ako humingi ng suporta, particular dito sa pandemic dahil napapansin ko nagpapanik lahat ng mga tao. Di ba? Nagpapanik lang. Isang beses lang ako pumunta ang tulong na dumating monthly to the point na hindi ko na alam anong gagawin ko doon. Okay? So if you want to talk about authenticity, I mean, they could have given it to other people and whatnot, di ba? Pero pinasa sa akin yung angat buhay na mga tulong nila. So ako naman parang my goodness, di ba? I mean, isang beses lang ako, ine-expect ko napakaliit lang na bagay, pero buwan-buwan binadadalan ako ng material support para to give to all of these people, and they only know me through certain channels, hindi pa nga buong-buong. So dito na ako dahil isang tanong mo lang, talagang nandiyan na kaagad yung tulong. Diba? So to be authentic, dun ako. I mean, credentials-wise, check nyo lang track record. Wala namang kaso kahit kailan eh. So doon na tayo sa malinis. I mean, pagod na tayong nilulokot lahat eh, di ba?
Walang kaso tsaka totoo yung diploma.
Oo.
Turn over ko na kay Ipe.
Oo. I think there's no doubt in all of your minds na Leni is the best candidate for you, no? And for many others who support her. But do you have a sense na you need to do a little bit more, no, to influence the para tumaas pa lalo sa survey, kasi of course VP Leni improved tremendously in the Pulse survey and nagdoble yung kanyang rating from the start. But despite the fact na napakaganda ng track record niya, maraming naitulong, at merong groundswell of support, sa tingin niyo ano pa ang pwede niyong gawin to bring her to the finish line?
From the social media perspectives, and again, dahil yan yung unang brand ng Davao for Leni, we understand, and we've been working with other volunteer groups who are supporting Leni's candidacy, and it started with Project Fighting Chance before na she would declare if she gets to the top 3 in the surveys, and we realize the uphill climb that we have even in social media pa lang na ang daming kailangan i-debunk, ang daming kailangan i-introduce, and then now coming into the campaign season, it is extremely important that we are more laser focused in how do we present the candidate, kasi number one, nakuha na yung recall ng Pink Wednesday, and everyone has an idea regardless of who you're supporting. Pag Pink, alam mo ng si Leni, so there's already an awareness of Leni, and now we have to make her work relevant with the need of the people, and with the directive now is to highlight and emphasize her platform in sa kalayaan laban sa COVID that she released last year. And we will plan to highlight that because that's the immediate need right now, and that's one of the strategies that we've seen in social media that would help amplify and bolster her candidacy. At least magkaroon siya ng gains pa rin, continuous gains, and lastly then, based on the last meeting that we had with other volunteer groups and social media, we have more than just a fighting chance in social media when beating the reach and impressions for the other camp. Lumalabas talaga na it's a Leni Bongbong battle in social media. And we are continuing to increase our reach by encouraging other groups to do the same online and to make sure that one yung messaging namin bakit si Leni.
Yes, and I agree with Jed nga doon. And importante din dito, and it's actually very unfortunate na meron pang additional burden sa Leni campaign na aside from amplifying yung kanyang track record, we also have to fight the fake news. So may additional burden na ganun kasi nga ganun kalala yung ginawa ng kabilang campus sa kanya for the past 6 years. Hanggang ngayon may mga fake news pa rin na kumakalat. So yun, so aside from having to show the platform ni VP Leni, kailangan din kasi namin rin to show na ito yung mga kasinungalingan na pinapakalat ng kabilang kampo ay hindi totoo at ito yung ebidensya, ganun pa. So merong additional may additional hurdle before people actually would listen to the platform. Kasi kung yung mga tao galit na kay Leni because of false reasons, 'di ba? Kahit naggaano pa kaganda yung strategy, kahit naggaano pa kaganda yung platform na i-present namin, hindi man sila makikinig eh. So kailangan muna namin silang kumbinsihin na mali yung kanilang pananaw, and hopefully, 'di ba? After that, makita na nila na maganda yung plataforma niya, and siya yung pinaka-qualified amongst the presidential candidates. That's sa social media yon, and Sir Apo of course would be more inclined to talk about the ground activities.
Yeah, just like what Josiah and Jed said, no? I mean, ako I fully support all the activities of Davao for Leni. Lugawan, whatever it is, social media. But I'm busy with campaign and on-the-ground organization and recruitment. Yes, we hear a lot of noise here and there, pero at the end of the day, ang labanan talaga nandito sa grassroots, so it's quite challenging. It's quite challenging. I mean, hindi naman natin matatanggal yung money aspect, and that we need money to move and all, di ba? We have to be organizing down to the grassroots level, which what I'm doing. And to be honest, sinasakay ko na din sa ibang kandidato yan. Para that way, isahan na lang yung aming pag-organisa. But at the end of the day, kailangan talagang doon natin makuha, because kung puro social media lang tayo, parang tayo lang nag-share niyan eh. So ang objective ko is to be able to organize as far as possible, and kumbaga dun sa mga high volume, high big weighted areas tayo makapag-organize para to get the numbers that we need. So organization is key in the barangay and grassroots level.
As our final word, I'll be giving each of you the opportunity to answer this. It's not really a question, pero I would like to give lang parang siguro mga things na kailangan i-consider na sa mensahe ninyo. Like, how important is the 2022 elections, considering that we are not just electing another president, another set of leaders for our country, but also, I think in my opinion, and I don't know if you agree with it, I think nakataya rin dito yung reputation and legacy ng ating bansa. Dahil yung pinaglaban natin noong 1980s, ito na naman, pinalayas natin sila through a peaceful means, nakilala tayo, naging proud yung bansa natin. Diba sabi nila, if you want to stop a tank, call a Filipino. Naalala ko yung t-shirt na yun kasi 80s baby rin ako. By that time, may idea na ako, and I lived in Manila at that time. Almost went to EDSA, natakot lang yung mother ko, kaya hindi kami pinapunta. Pero I saw everything, including Imelda's shoes, doon sa Malacanang, kasi we went to Malacanang a few days after the palace was open. So it was a really proud moment for me to tell everyone that I'm a Filipino, and we did this great change for our country. Dahil ang family ko rin experienced some hardships during the dictatorship. So it is also personal for me in some sense yung darating na election. So if you're going to talk to our public, especially to our listeners na hindi pa kumbinsido at hindi rin naniniwala sa inyong ipinaglalaban, maring isalang-alang na lang nila yung legacy ng ating bansa. Yung legacy rin ng Davao City of fighting against the Marcos dictatorship, at yung mga naririnig natin social media, wala namang kinalaman si Bongbong doon eh. Wala siyang kamuang-muang sa ginawa ng magulang niya eh. Bakit siya idadamay doon? So ano yung gusto niyong sabihin sa ating mga hindi pa kumbinsido, maaring ibang kandidatong sinusuportahan nila, kagaya na sabi nga ni Jed, and nakita rin naman natin sa mga surveys, it's going to be a two-way race sa nakikita nating trend ngayon. So how do you convince the people considering all of these factors coming in? So who would like to start? Jed, would you like to start, and then Josiah, and then let's end with Apo.
Yep. One thing I can say and share is that first time ko sa ganito. for the longest, I'm already 39, I'm nearing 40. Pero first time ko maging active, and then there's this strong impulse for me to be active, not because believe na believe ako kay Leni. No, because with what I'm seeing and how important the 2022 elections is number one, we have to go back and respect the legacy of our history. And also to get us back on track to the 2050 vision. Ang ganda na ng predictions for the Philippines by 2050, and with the things that have happened recently, even with the pandemic, I would say now we need a boring leadership. When I say boring, competent and functioning leadership. Ayoko makisawsaw sa politics before, because number one, komportable na ako eh. Kahit sinong maupo dyan, okay ako. Walang mangyayari sa pamilya ko, hindi kami maghirap. Pero ginagawa ko to not because of myself and my privilege, but because I understand that we need a leadership na tutugon sa mga kailangan natin, lalo na ang immediate need to get us out of this pandemic and to get us back to our feet as soon as possible. And para sa akin, sa lahat ng ginawa ni Leni the past 6 years, siya lang ang kayang gumawa na.
For me naman, I agree with Jed, no, na importante nating tingnan yung hindi lang yung mga pangako. Kasi napakadaling magsabi ng mga napakagandang mga flowery statements. Pero kailangan natin tingnan yung kung ano na bang nagawa. So yun. So doon tayo dapat magbase. Kasi we're talking about the chief executive, the highest position in the Philippine government, with almost, diba, unlimited power. Of course, nandiyan yung Congress to limit him. Pero with Philippine politics, nakita natin kung gaano sad to say, katrapo ang ating Kongreso, na sumusunod lang din naman sila sa kung anong sinabi ng ehekutibo. Pero yun nga, so kailangan natin ng presidente merong actual track record, hindi yung peke, hindi yung track record ng tatay, hindi yung track record ng kung sino man. Track record niya. Yun. And then, yung merong actual na ginawa before politics para makita natin yung kanyang loyalty, kumbaga, in public service. Tapos, yung kanyang competence when she actually became a politician. So, makita natin yan was pagiging congresswoman pala until sa vice presidency. So, even if sabi ni Jed, even if this is going to be a quote-unquote a two-way race between Marcos and Robredo, kailangan natin alalahanin na hindi naman si Ferdinand Marcos Sr. ang tumatakbo, no? Kailangan natin tingnan, ano bang nagawa? Ano ba gawa ng frontrunner ngayon? So yun yung kailangan alalahanin sana ng mga listeners ngayon. Ano bang nagawa niya for him to deserve to be in the chief executive position? That being said, ano nagawa ni VP Leni? I can take all of your time enumerating kung ano na nagawa niya for her to actually not really deserve. We deserve a good leader. Tayo yung nagde-deserve ng ganung klaseng leadership. Kasi tama naman, personally, as an activist, pagod naman ako. Pagod na tayong mag-quote-unquote magreklamo. No? Kaya tayo nagreklamo kasi may kinakailangan. Kasi kailangan eh. Kasi part yun ng democracy, yung pagreklamo. Kasi may mali. Diba? Kung wala naman mali, kung maayos naman yung leadership, hindi naman tayo magreklamo. And nakakapagod magreklamo. So, kaya nga si VP Leni yung ating sinusuportahan. Kasi we're hoping na when she's in charge, we'd be mas onte yung kailangan nating sawayin sa gobyerno. So yun. And lastly, yung justice din, kumbaga, justice. Bakit tayo boboto ng kandidato na yung mismong nanay ay convicted sa graft? Diba? And then may pending case sa Supreme Court for graft and corruption. What kind of justice will we have? And sa tingin nyo ba kung manalo yung anak niya, at magkakaroon tayo ng fair trial sa kanyang sariling nanay? Di ba? Wala, hindi, di ba? And then may mga pending civil forfeiture cases pa sa kanilang nanakaw. So yun, so justice na din. So yun, so two things to remember sana, competency and justice. Yun.
Apo?
Sa akin naman, ang message ko is, this is the fight of our lives. Personally, wala naman akong makuha dito. I'm happy, I'm comfortable, I'm quiet, I'm enjoying. But I cannot allow my children to grow up in a country that they cannot be proud of because of the examples that the leadership is showing. I cannot allow them to grow up in an environment wherein killing is accepted as something normal. Diba? Yung pambabastos. And, these are just very basics. Diba? I cannot allow them to grow up in a country wherein corruption is being coddled. Mga ganung bagay. So ako, this is a fight of my life because my kids will be voters very soon. Diba? My daughter will be a voter very soon. So I have to set a good example na pag talagang naniniwala ka sa isang bagay, paglalaban mo. Wala namang bayad dito volunteerism. Para makita nila, pag importante, talagang you have to stand up for something. You just cannot sit back just because everybody else is doing it, just because ito yung sikat. Di ba? So let's just go back to basics. Ano ba yung tama? Ano ba yung nakakabuti? So dito tayo kay Leni.
Wow, thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing your time and also expressing yourselves to us kung bakit nga ba mga Davaoenyo ay para kay Leni Robredo. Thank you for trusting Press One and coming to the press room for this interview.
Thank you, everyone.
Hopefully, ma-invita namin kayo kung may mga updates na nangyari sa ground leading up into the election. Thank you, Apo. Thank you, Jed. And thank you, Josiah. At maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat sa pagsama sa amin dito uli sa loob ng press room. Sa ngalan po ni Ipe Salbosa at ni Manny Bugato. Ako po si Romel Lopez ng PressOne.ph. Harinawa, samahan niyo po kami sa susunod na edisyon uli ng The Press Room. Hanggang sa muli po, ingat po tayong lahat. God bless.